Welcome to How to Cook That. I'm Ann Reardon and today we're making Air Delight chocolate, or Aero Bars if you're in Australia, in 3 different ways, and I'll show you how to make the mint ones at the end too. The first experiment I did to try and figure out how to make these was using dry ice. The first thing we need to do is get some extra cocoa butter and add it to the chocolate and melt that in the microwave. The extra cocoa butter just helps to make it more liquid. Once that's melted and it's around 97 degrees Fahrenheit, add in an extra teaspoon or 2 of freeze-dried cocoa butter and stir that through. And that's just to temper the chocolate so that it sets properly at room temperature. Dry ice turns directly from a solid to a gas. So if we put it in some warm milk, for example, it makes bubbles. Lots and lots of bubbles. Now, I'm not sure if this is going to work with chocolate though, because chocolate is thicker for one, and 2, it might set too fast because the dry ice is so cold, but we can always try. So put your dry ice into a bag and smash it using a rolling pin until you get lots of small tiny pieces. Now tip that into your chocolate and stir it up quickly. Now it's starting to set immediately, so I'm going to stop stirring it there, and I can see there are a few little bubbles forming, but nothing like we saw with the milk. I'm going to leave that until the chunks of dry ice have gone. That took about 15 minutes. Let's just break it open and have a look inside. So it didn't create many bubbles, but anywhere where there was dry ice, we've got a hole where that has now turned to gas. So it does give an interesting texture, and that could be good on some desserts or different things, but it's not quite what we're after today. So experiment number 2, let's try putting it into a vacuum container, and I'll show you how this works with marshmallows first. As you pump the air out of the container, the air left inside expands to fill the space, and that includes the air that's trapped inside the marshmallows, so you can see they're getting bigger there. And then when we release the pressure, because the marshmallows are flexible, they sink back down to normal size. But I'm hoping with the chocolate that it's actually going to hold its shape. Now to get air into the chocolate, let's try whipping our tempered chocolate with beaters to incorporate as much air into it as we can. And then pour that into the vacuum container, seal it up, and pump the air out of it just like we did before. Now you can see it's increased just a little, but hardly at all, not like our marshmallows. So that means we don't have enough air incorporated into our chocolate for this to work very well. But let's see, once it's set, we'll release the pressure and let's have a look inside the chocolate if we just snap it. See, it is a different texture, so it has worked a little bit. There's definitely some bubbles in there, but we're much closer to the Air Delight or our Aero than when we use the dry ice, but I think we need to incorporate more air. So experiment number 3. First of all, melt your chocolate with the extra cocoa butter like we've done the other times, and then once it gets to the 97 degrees, add more freeze-dried cocoa butter to temper it. Then pour that into a cream whipper. Now I've run the outside of this cream whipper under warm water just before so that the chocolate's not going to set as soon as it's poured in. You'll also need to check your maximum fill amount on your bottle, and that's usually written on the bottom. Screw on the top, and then take a nitrous oxide charger and put it into the holder, and then screw that onto the top, and you'll hear that gas just releasing into the canister there. Then repeat that with a second one, and then give it a really good shake. So we're putting this under pressure and then getting that gas just to mix into our chocolate. Then you want to dispense that straight away into your container. Now we don't want to delay with this, otherwise our chocolate's going to just set in the container. If it stops coming out properly, just stop and shake it again, and then just keep putting the rest of it in there. And you can see how foamy that is. We've got so many air bubbles in, so I hope this one works better. Add the lid on top and clip it on, and then vacuum the air out from the container, and whoa, that has heaps better result. Did you see how much that expanded then? Now I'm going to let that set. Then just release the pressure in a container and tip it out. I put acetate on the bottom of mine so that it didn't stick to the container, so that's probably a good idea. And it looks to me like this is sunken in the middle a bit. Perhaps my container didn't hold its vacuum very well. It's just a cheap vacuum container, so it may not be able to do that. Let's cut it open and have a look at the texture inside. And we've got lots of tiny air bubbles, just like in Air Delight or Aero Bars. So this one is using the cream whipper and the vacuum. This one is using beaters and the vacuum. And this one is using the dry ice. Now I've got one more thing I wanted to do, experiment number 4. My favourite is the mint Aero Bar, which I don't know if you have that in Air Delight in the US, but here in Australia we have mint ones and it's my favourite. So for that we're going to need some white chocolate, the freeze-dried cocoa butter to make our chocolate runnier, some more cocoa butter for tempering, and some green powdered food colouring and some peppermint essence. Add the colouring to the cocoa butter and just a drop of peppermint essence if you want it mint flavoured. And then microwave that until it is liquid and stir it really well to make sure all of that powdered colour is mixed in and you don't have any little dots of colour still. Microwave your chocolate for it to melt, remembering to stir often so it doesn't burn. So I did 30 seconds stir, 30 seconds stir, 20 seconds stir, then 10 seconds stir until it is all melted and smooth. Then pour in your coloured cocoa butter mixture and stir it around, mixing it into the chocolate. And once your chocolate gets down to the 97 degrees, add in the smaller amount of cocoa butter to temper it so that it's going to set properly. Now pour that mint chocolate into your warmed up cream whipper, screw on the top, charge it up, then shake it really well. And now dispense that into the vacuum container. Once you've got it in, just add the lid, clip it shut, and vacuum the air out of it. I love watching it rise up like that. Then you just know it's going to work. Once it's set, tip it out of the container, and that looks much better. It hasn't sunk in the middle. And look at that, that looks amazing. It looks exactly like the mint Aero Bars with lots of tiny bubbles. I'm going to slice these up and get them into bar shapes. And to make them look exactly perfect bars, I'm going to use a mould. You could just coat the pieces in chocolate if you don't mind what shape they are. Put some of your tempered chocolate into each mould and then just spread it up the sides. And then push the bubbly mint chocolate into the mould, letting the excess come up and over the top. And then you can just neaten that up using a spatula. Once they're set, just pop them out of the mould and you have your very own mint bubbly Aero chocolate bars. And my kids absolutely loved them.
That is like one of the best things I've had in a long time. That is awesome.
The bubbles in that just make it everything.
And a special shout out and thank you to everyone who came to the meet and greet this week at the bookstore. It was so lovely to meet you and see photos of things you've baked and talk to you and hear your stories and give you a hug. I just love meet and greets. I love actually meeting you guys. I wish I could meet you all. For those of you who weren't there or live in another country, we're just going to have to keep talking in the comments. So soon I'll be doing a music themed cake video with all your favourite bands and artists on it. So I need you to vote in the comments below for your favourite band or artist. Now try not to just thumbs up someone else's comment because it's really hard for me to tally them up when they've got different amounts of likes on them. Just add your vote as a separate comment saying the name of the artist or the name of the band so I don't miss it. And then I'll tally all of those up and put them all on a special cake in a few weeks. So make sure that you have your votes in there. Subscribe to How to Cook That for more cakes, chocolates and desserts. Click here to become a VIP and get early access to my videos on a Friday. Here for last week's gadgets video and here for my YouTube channel. Make it a great week and I'll see you on Friday.